Hey guys, if you're listening to this, you obviously like podcasts. You probably like music too, I would imagine. On Spotify, you can listen to all of that in one place for free. You don't even need a premium account. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. The good thing is, is on Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcast so you never miss an episode. You can download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, so you don't have to worry about it cutting in and out like I have to when I'm at work. And you can easily share what you're listening to with your friends via Spotify's integrations with social platforms like Instagram. Just search for the Really Rich Podcast on the Spotify app or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. And follow me so you never miss an episode of the Really Rich Podcast. Last but not least, though, Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service. I don't know if you guys knew that. I did not, but it is. And now it can be your go-to for podcasts as well. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Adam Rich from the Really Rich Podcast. And, you know, I know I talk to you guys a lot about patience and happiness and setting goals and not letting negativity distract you and things like that. And where I believe heavily in all of these things, the one thing that I wanted to really touch more on when it comes to patience is about when you ask somebody for help, or when you ask somebody for guidance, when a lot of times, you know, people will ask you eventually what it is you're trying to accomplish, how they can help, or what it is that you need. And if you notice, man, a lot of people, even people that are really close to you, a lot of people have zero interest in helping out. They have zero interest in, you know, doing something for you that's going to help make you either happier or successful quicker with whatever task you've been given. A lot of people, bottom line is, a lot of people just don't want to see you succeed. And there's many reasons behind this. Maybe they're just jealous. Maybe they just don't like you. Maybe they're insecure about their own shit and they just don't want to see somebody else winning when they're not winning. There's all kinds of things that go into this, but what I have noticed is that when you don't get support from people, when you don't get help from people, when nobody's willing to basically steer you in the right direction and just kind of help you get where you want to go, this can actually be a very positive thing for you in the long run. And the reason why I say that is, it's not because I think, because I think adversity, it really makes people center. It really makes you like zero in on what you need to do in your life for yourself to make things happen the way you want them to happen, you know, to achieve what you want to achieve. A wise man once said, "Thank you for not helping me when I asked. Because of you, I was forced to do it myself." And there's some power in that. It may sound kind of a negative statement. It may sound complaining or whining, but it's really not if you think about it. I guess it just depends on how you look at it. If you just read the text, you can interpret it as, well, that just sounds like you're whining. However, if you think about it, this is a good, positive thing because it forces you to get good at something you may not be good at. It forces you to learn something you normally may not spend the time trying to learn. And listen, gaining knowledge in anything, even if it's something you're not really passionate about or something you might not care that much about. Sorry, there's power in learning. I mean, there's a reason why you always hear the saying, knowledge is power. The thing, when you know more than your opponent, whoever that may be, whoever is against you, whoever is in the same field as you but doing better, somebody who might be stealing your business, or they already have your business and you're trying to get it from them, whatever. When you're forced to learn, even if it's something you don't give a shit about, it makes you see life differently. You now gain knowledge in areas because listen, sometimes things are going to come up. Some topics are going to come up that you may not be very knowledgeable in. And if you accidentally had to learn, or if you were forced to learn against your will, basically, now it just makes you more deadly of a weapon. You're sharpening your skill set. You're sharpening your mind. It expands the way you think about things. And overall, this gives you power. It makes it, like, think about something. If you never did anything when it comes to plumbing, you never fixed your own sink, you never fixed the toilet. So you say you never even plunged a toilet, whatever the proper term is there. If you ask somebody to help you or show you, can you please just show me how to do this, or can you help me do this? And nobody would. And all of a sudden you were like, oh, fuck, this has to get done. I have to do it now. Nobody's around. Nobody can help me. Nobody wants to help me. I better hurry up and read up on this. I better watch a YouTube video on this. I better just do all the studying I can to learn how to do this for myself, because it's got to get done and nobody's available. Well, now, this is why it's powerful. Even though you were forced in unfortunate circumstances to have to learn something you didn't necessarily want to learn, now, what if this happens again in the future? What if your sink is leaking and your kitchen's flooding, and you didn't know shit about fixing sinks, you didn't care, you didn't want to learn, it was not something you gave a fuck about. Well, now you go and watch a YouTube video and you see exactly what causes it, or you see where it's coming from on your own sink. You look up on YouTube on, this is happening to this, and how do I fix it? And then somebody gives you a quick little 3, 4, 5, 10-minute tutorial on how to fix it. And then you go to the store and you purchase the stuff for a lot cheaper than it would be to pay somebody to do it, mind you. Pay a professional plumber at least. So you go to the store, you buy the stuff yourself, you come home, you spend the time doing it. And then when you take the sink apart, when you're taking everything apart, all the pipes and everything, you take everything apart, it teaches you, A, how the construction is made, what it's made out of, how it works. It forces you to learn the ins and outs about what is going on. And then when you learn how to fix it on your own, if it ever happens again in the future, you now don't even need to call somebody or ask for something. You don't need to wait until your whole damn kitchen is flooded and your floor is ruined before you finally, tackle it and fix it. You know how to do it now. So now, immediately, if it happens in the future, you know how to fix it immediately. There is a power behind that. When you have to ask people for help and they don't want to help you, it's usually a reflection on them. Maybe they don't have the time, which is fine. Maybe they're just a busy person. Maybe they just don't have the time to help. But maybe they just want to see you fail. Maybe they don't want you to succeed. Maybe they want your floor flooded and your floor ruined, so you have to spend all this money. There is just a crazy amount of people that love to watch other people fail. And it's absurd, really. It's upsetting to think about that there are so many people that aren't necessarily evil people. I wouldn't call them evil. I wouldn't say that I wouldn't rank them up there with murderers and rapists and shit like that. But people that want you to fail, even if it doesn't personally, even if it's not for personal gain, if they just want you to fail because they just don't want to see you succeed, they're pieces of shit. And you basically get to see that then, when people are behind your back talking bad about you and secretly hoping that your life is being ruined, or that your job is a failure, that you in life is a failure. This is just a reflection on how shitty they are. And not only how shitty they are, but it may not even be that they mean to be shitty. Maybe it's just the upbringing that they had that caused them to be like that. Maybe it's just they had a very unfortunate set of circumstances that they had to deal with when they were growing up, and now they just have a very jaded, bad, awful, negative outlook on life, and they hate to see people succeed when they're not succeeding. It's tough for me to say that they're pieces of shit, because yes, they come off as that, yes, they seem like that, yes, they act like that, but maybe there was a lot that went into them becoming like that, It's not always just a person being a piece of shit. It's not always just that simple. And so the older I've gotten and the more I see that, the more I actually do feel, kind of sympathy for them. I'm empathetic for the way that they treat me, because I realize that they've had a pretty rough life. Like I think to myself now, what did they go through in life to make them become the way that they are now? I study people a lot. It's like one of my favorite things on earth. I just love seeing, how a person is what kind of upbringing they had, what kind of circumstances they've gone through, what kind of jobs they've had, what kind of, did they have siblings? Did they have older siblings that just beat the hell out of them or was just shitty to them or treated them bad? Or did they have parents that were, maybe their dad was an alcoholic, maybe their dad wasn't around very much, maybe their mom was kind of shitty, maybe their mom was always out and didn't pay much attention. I don't know. There's more than 1,000 things that could have gone wrong in a person's life to make them become a jaded, awful person and treat other people badly. Now, that doesn't mean that you got to excuse it and let it go and just say, oh, well, that's fine. It's not their fault. No, people should be held accountable. There's no doubt in that. But at the same time, it's like, when somebody is negative or shitty towards you, when they just spew hate towards you, when they're talking bad about you, when they don't want to help you, when they want to see you fail, instead of just assuming the automatic worst, that fuck that person, that, they can eat it, instead of going straight to that, which we normally do, myself included, I'm guilty of this as well. It's like the first thing you think of. But when you see people like that, you really should start thinking to yourself, well, what did they go through to make them like that? Because I can't fathom, rooting against people just to root against them, like just to see them fail. It's one thing if you hate a person because of what they've done to you, how they've treated you, how they've done bad to you. It's one thing to not want to see them successful because of that. But when you've had no previous interaction, like say it's a stranger on social media that just wants to attack you for who you are, and everything that you post, they're like, oh, you're stupid, this is dumb, this is, boring. It's like, the easy thing to say is, well, just don't look at my stuff then, just move on, just unfollow me, or don't look at my shit. It's that simple. Like, don't listen to the podcast. And speaking of the podcast, there is something I do have to get into. So here we go. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. When I started using Anchor to do my podcast, it was so extremely easy that I haven't even bothered to look for another app to use. I love this app. It's the only one I deal with, the only one I even recommend, period. I recommend you get on there ASAP. If you want to start a podcast, this is definitely the place to go. It's easy. You can drive around and record. You can sit in your basement and record. You can do it anywhere. It's fantastic. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start, anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. But back to what we were saying, some people just don't want to see you win. Some people don't want to help you. Some people don't want to support you. Some people don't want to root for you or cheer you on, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to be for you. I mean, if you think about it, I know there's roughly 7 billion people in the world, right? If you had, say, only 1% of people liked you, then, or to make the numbers easier, let's say there was 1 million, because 7 million, I got to do some math, and I'm trying to drive and talk. This isn't going to go well for anybody. But say there was only 1 billion, right? And there's actually 7 billion, roughly, plus or minus a few, I don't know, whatever. So say there's only 1 billion people, and say only 1% of people liked you. 1%. That's 10 million people that would like you. You understand? Right? Is that number right? 100 million times? Yeah, I think so. He's even doing that math's fucking hard for me right now. So, and the sad thing is I've always been pretty solid at math. But anyway, don't fact check me on that. So the point is, though, is even if 99% of people didn't like you, 99% of people hated your guts, didn't want nothing to do with you, that's still a lot of fucking people that like you, that are decent. If 1% out of 100, if there's 100 million, let's make it even easier. If there's 100 million people and you had 1% of them like you, that's a million. It's a million fucking people still like you. That's a lot of people. And there's way more people than that in the world. And we're living in a time where it's just, I mean, the global connection is just, it's phenomenal. I mean, there's, through like LinkedIn, through different platforms of social media, I've been able to connect with people around the world, and it's amazing. It's incredible to like hear their side and hear what they're about and hear how things are different where they're from. And it's incredible, and I love it. And I always, me personally, just because of how I was raised, I want to help everyone I can everywhere. Like anyone I can. I would love to help them mentally, emotionally, just get past this lack of confidence, get past the negativity that we feel in life. And people think that, you live in such a negative environment, most people. There's no lack of bad shit around. You can look in any direction and find bad anytime you want. But you can also look in any direction and find good. It's just, that's not what's advertised. That's not what's sexy. That's not what's on TV. That's not what people want you to think about. That's not what, that's not what's being forced on you. Think about this. When you turn on the news every day, no matter what city you live in, no matter what area you're from, anytime you turn on the news, I would say at least 75% of the stories, minimum, 75% of the stories are horrible, are bad stories. Not that, you know what I mean? Like there's negative shit happening. There's either somebody got robbed, somebody got kidnapped, somebody got raped, somebody got murdered, there was a house that was broken, there was an armed robbery, there was somebody got carjacked, and then there's somebody saved a cat out of a tree. That's about it. Like, you don't see a whole lot of good in the world, but it's there. It's certainly there. And the reason why I feel so compelled to try to help people, and I encourage everybody to be helpful, everybody should be helping others, is because it's not that easy to come by. There's not many lights in the world. There's tons of darkness. There's not a whole lot of light. So you should be that light. And you should remember, here's the best part though, if nobody's willing to help you and you have to learn something and do it on your own, and you get good at it. Like when I first started the podcast, I didn't know shit about microphones. I didn't know anything about sound. I didn't know anything about podcasting platforms. I didn't know anything about advertising. I knew nothing about everything. And nobody fucking helped me. I didn't have anybody to bounce these ideas off of and ask like, hey, what would you do? Or how do you do it? I didn't have that. All I did is I'd read and I watched videos and I studied people that did it and did it well. And I tried to just mimic that. And listen, I'm not a finished product by any means. I'm not as good as I want to be. I'm not, as good as I'm ever going to get. I don't believe. I hope not. I'm always trying to get better, but you grow, man. You get, even if you start off and you suck at something, just keep working at it until you get good. That's the best part about learning. That's the best part about challenging yourself. And especially the feeling of accomplishment that comes after you had to do something on your own and you figured it out and you were good at it or you succeeded. Even if you weren't that good at it, but you still succeeded anyway. There's so much power in that for yourself and confidence building. And that's why I firmly believe, man, I fully, honestly believe that sometimes a lack of help can be helpful. I know it sounds contradictory. I know it sounds, kind of ass backwards if I'm being honest, but it's not. It's not backwards. Sometimes the lack of help can be the most helpful thing for you. When you are forced to learn something on your own, it's just the knowledge that you gain is incredible. Like, I know so much more about podcasting and so much more about advertising and so much more about sound equipment and lighting equipment and how to interview people and how to be interviewed and things like that, like stuff I'd never done, that I always, I guess, kind of felt like I should be doing or something that I was always interested in, but it's not something that I was ever familiar with until I started doing it. And listen, if anyone hears this and then they go back and listen to my first episode or my first 5 episodes, I'm sure they fucking suck compared to this one. I'm sure they do. And I'm not even remotely ashamed of it or embarrassed about it or anything. I know damn well that my first few episodes were nowhere near as good as they are now because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I don't think anybody does when they first start doing anything. You don't know what you're doing. You're just learning it. You're trying to get good at it. Like I did something at my dad. I was trying to help my dad with something yesterday. And as I'm doing it, it was very foreign to me as what I was doing. And when I got done, I realized I was like, man, I know I didn't do it great this time, but I learned a lot. And if I do it tomorrow or the next day or the next week, I'm going to be much better. It'll be much smoother. It'll be an easier process just because I'm now a little more familiar with it. And it's great when you learn something. Listen, if somebody helps you with everything, if somebody does everything for you, you don't learn shit and you don't grow as a person. You don't gain knowledge. You don't gain a skill set. Think about everything that you've ever done the first time you ever did it. And then especially if it's something you like and you still do all the time, imagine the first time you ever did it, how much you sucked at it. And compared to now, it's very powerful to not get help from people. And I'm not saying that you should never ask for help. I'm not saying you should avoid getting help. What I am saying is don't let it ruin you or ruin your day if you ask for help and you don't get it. Instead, just center all your attention on how can I learn this myself and how can I never need to rely on anyone again. If you get good enough at anything, you'll never need to ask anybody for shit. But a lot of times we want the quickest, easiest way because sometimes by nature we might be lazy. We might be afraid of failing. And if we get help, then we're less likely to fail. We're afraid of the judgment that comes with having to ask because then we're admitting we don't know. Like there's a lot of reasons that go into, that asking for help and not getting help and being embarrassed and critiquing yourself. And first and foremost, don't ever let yourself get wrapped up in that fear. Embrace the fact that you don't know something. Embrace the fact that you're about to learn something new and that you're going to gain knowledge and possibly a skill out of this, whatever it is that you're doing. And I just encourage people, man, take that with you. Take this, turn that negative shit into a very positive feeling. Learn how to do it on your own. And when you do it, and it looks good and the finished product is nice and clean and good and you're happy with the results and you feel, that's the sense of success. Me telling you that you are or not or you're not successful means nothing. Your mom and dad telling you that you are or you're not successful means nothing. You determine what your goals are, you set them yourself, and then you go out and try to accomplish them however you see necessary. And you will feel the sense of success. If you try to do something that you've never done and then you succeed at doing it, that's a success. It doesn't matter what I think or what anybody else thinks about it. It matters how you feel about it. You set your own goals, and then when you accomplish those goals, you'll feel successful. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much status you have, how much fame you have, how much popularity, how many followers, how many subscribers, how much money you're making in business, and how well liked you are. None of that matters when it comes to success. It matters how you feel about it. It matters if you set a goal and you've accomplished that goal. That is the epitome of success. So just embrace that, own it, earn it, go out there and love the process of learning, love the process of being rejected and figuring it out and doing it yourself. And then the creation mode of it, the creation aspect of it, I should say, that is what feels so good. It's what feels great. When I basically created this podcast from nothing, with no help, from no support, from no help of any kind from anybody or any kind of positive feedback of it, I had most people shitting all over the idea of me doing it, to be honest with you. And I'm at the point now where I thrive on shit like that. I love that because anytime somebody tells me I can't do something, that is my favorite because I get to prove them wrong. I love doing that. I love when somebody says I can't do something or I'm not capable of it or you'll never be able to do this. It's never going to happen. It's never going to work. Oh, proving people wrong is so fun. It really is. And I don't look for it. I don't ask for it. But my point is when that situation or that, that thing gets thrust upon me, I love trying to exceed expectations. It's so good. The underdog story. When you win when everyone thinks you're going to lose. Oh, it's such a good feeling. And I challenge you to do the same thing. Embrace the lack of help because it's extremely helpful long term. Now I don't have to worry about asking people, paying somebody for advertising for me, paying some, like I've gotten to the point where there's sponsor. Obviously, I mean, if you listen to if you listen to any of the episodes, you'll see the sponsors and all that. To work from nothing and have 0 listeners, 0 followers, 0 subscribers, 0 money coming my way, 0 sponsors wanting anything to do with me. And now to have built in a year what I have, I feel very accomplished. Now, I'm not nowhere near where I want to be, but it's only been a year, a little over a year. My job as a human being is to get better in everything I do, and then to try to help others get to that same point. And I can't stress this enough. Regardless how much help you get from anybody, you should make it your job to help others or teach others something that you felt frustrated having to learn on your own. If you had to learn something on your own, you should be just excited, over the fucking moon to try to share that information with somebody else. Because you conquered it on your own with no help. Listen, it's easy if I go to school and my math teacher teaches me that 2 + 2 = 4, and then I come home and I tell somebody else that 2 + 2 = 4. Well, I had to have somebody tell me that. It's not something that I just learned on my own. It's not something I accomplished on my own. It's something that somebody helped me with. A teacher helped me to learn that. They taught me that. But when you make something or you ask for help and nobody will give it to you, and then you're forced to go learn it yourself, and then you get good at it, and then you can relay that to somebody else, and you can be the help when nobody else would help you, that feels fucking great. It is phenomenal. And I challenge every one of you, be that. Do that. Don't get down and depressed and upset when people won't help you. Don't get down and depressed when people are actively rooting against you, whether it's behind your back or to your face. When people don't support you, when people don't want to help you, when people are watching you and hoping you fail, just learn to be better and prove them wrong. It's such an incredible feeling. And be the bigger person. Don't rub it in their face. They know. They know when you've done it on your own without them. They know when you've upgraded. They know when you when you have an ex-girlfriend or an ex-boyfriend and then you move on to somebody else and that's better. You don't have to go rub that in their face. You don't have to call them or send them pictures and post pictures of you making out on social media just so everyone will see it. No, they know when you've upgraded. And they know when you've, regardless what they say. They may say to your face, they may say it all day. Oh, you downgraded. Look at that skank you're with. Look at that ugly ass dude you're with now. But they know. When you're happy, they fucking know when you're happy. And they know that they did nothing to help. You did it on your fucking own. That's amazing. And just do that. I encourage everyone, please do that. And then help others because nobody would fucking help you. Do that. I love you guys, and I really got to get going. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for the love that you give me, the support, the follows, the subscribes, all that stuff, everything that you do, any comments that you give, good or bad. I appreciate all of them. I just appreciate you as people. I love you so much, and I thank you again. If you want to get a hold of me, please get a hold of me at the, you can leave me a voice message to the Anchor app. You can get a hold of me on, DM me on Instagram at Really Rich Podcast. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at Really Rich Adam. LinkedIn is Adam Rich, founder and host of Really Rich Podcast. You'll find it. But I just encourage you to please just give me some feedback. Let me know how you're doing on your journey. Have you gone through this yourself? Are you struggling with this yourself? How are you handling it? How do you react to people that are like this to you? You know, I really want to know. I want to know about you and your experience and your story. So please share. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon, all right? Peace. I'm out of here.